Okay, I have another word for y'all. This is quick and short. Excuse me. But in this, I saw a commercial. And in this commercial, the guy was talking about, he said, "Sorry for not returning your calls. I was healing. I need you to hear me with your spiritual ears. Sorry for not returning your calls. I was healing." I'm sorry to any female that has been watching these videos and thinking that these men are at your beck and call. If you think that, you ain't ready anyway. I'm sorry to tell you, sorry. These men have been in a healing season. If you haven't noticed the video content God's been giving me, it shows that these men were in relationship with women that were vicious. They aren't like us. Some of y'all, when y'all was unhealed, you was vicious. Tell the truth and shame the devil. But some of y'all ain't never dealt with being a vicious person, so you wouldn't understand what it is for a man to have dealt with a vicious person, whether it was a mother, whether it was a girlfriend. And 95 times out of 10 is if they had a mother that was vicious, their girlfriends were vicious to them. Sorry. They were attracted to the vicious one. This is why they rejected you. So, with that being said, God had to show them and that's the reason why he had to keep him away from you, because for one, if he let that man, once he knew who you were, come near you, and for those of you that know what I'm talking about, when the man that the Lord sent that was supposed to be your God-ordained spouse, and you know that you've been separated from them, the reason you were separated, raise your hand, was because of the fact that they attacked you. Why? They had unhealed wounds because you weren't attacking them. Or you were unhealed at the time you were with them and you were attacking them. God had to teach you how not to attack them, and he had to teach them how not to attack you through all of y'all's triggers. Ooh. Okay, now that we got that settled, communication is coming. I've been seeing 1255 and 611, as well as 411. Communication is coming. God will not send you somebody who is half healed. I've been seeing this thing where a lot of people have been saying, "Oh, this person needs to heal. Oh, this person needs to be healed." When they come to you, they're going to be healing all of this kind of stuff. God's not going to send you somebody that's half healed. One of the main reasons he kept them away from you is because they was half healed. He needed to get them to a point in their healing journey that they weren't going to take their anger, their frustration, and learn how to deal with their emotions just like he did with you. So why would he go through all that to heal you? Have you go through all that healing process and then send somebody half healed to you so that you got to fight with them while they are healing? He's going to, at the very least, make sure that they are not going to continue to dig up old wounds and still operate by testing them. That's what I talked about. It was a video I did talking about some testing that they had to go through. He had to make sure that certain pride issues, certain issues of vanity, certain issues within them were healed first, or else they were going to bring that into you, and that's why God couldn't allow them near you at that time. The apostle explained it so clearly, and it was an example that this person gave. He said that if a person is on the phone and they call you and they says that I can't come to you right now, I'm going through something. They couldn't come to you because they were going through something, which lines up with the quote I just said from that commercial. I was healing. I didn't answer your calls. Some of y'all was like, okay, I healed. Now you got to come and get me. No. They needed to heal too. They deserve the same respect that God gave you. Just because it took you a whole lot longer to heal didn't mean that it's going to take them that long to heal from their stuff. The only reason they needed time to heal was because they kept going back and rotating around them same circles and them same cycles instead of sitting still and waiting. Ended up getting caught up in some mess because of the fact that they wouldn't sit and wait for you to heal. But now that both of y'all is healed enough, 7/24, which just so happened to be my birthday, it actually means healing. So with that being said, I just said that they needed to heal. So the Lord showed me a month or two ago in a dream, my God ordained spouse was going to end up in a season of wilderness. But at a specific point in time, which lines up to something he showed me that now makes sense, he needed to heal during that period. Y'all weren't in communication because he was healing. And some of you knew that's the reason why y'all wasn't in communication. He was healing. He deserved the same respect to heal as you deserve the same respect to heal because of the fact. And this was beautifully tied up in a bow because I saw a video by Diani Neves where she was talking about the fact that when you come into this marriage with your God-ordained spouse and enter into this promised land, think it not strange that both you and your spouse are going to come face to face with the things y'all still got to have delivered from. Yes, you're going to be healed. Yes, but ain't nobody going to be able to test those emotional boundaries like your spouse. Can I get an amen? Everything that you thought you was healed from the last relationship, last time you thought you was in it, it's going to come back around again, and you're going to have to see how mature you are and vice versa. Your triggers are going to come up and so is their triggers. And honey child, I need you to hear me and hear me closely. All y'all been sitting up there seeing the things and the messages talking about, oh, you about to get pregnant right after you get married. You know the emotional turmoil you go through during pregnancy? Do you? From the women that have had kids, could you please raise your hand? There is a level of emotional things you go through in your body. You've heard about the mood swings, right? The crying 1 minute, angry the next minute, hungry the next minute, nauseous the next minute. And you heard about that thing that happens between the two that are married, that the husband may sometimes take on the wife's symptoms. I forget what they call it. But I need you to think real hard. You think that if y'all didn't deal with y'all emotional issues thoroughly before you came into these relationships, you think God was going to let y'all in this relationship and then bear children? Do you realize every time you go through a pregnancy, that's going to happen? Shoot, I think God allows you to get pregnant just to show you yourselves. Because during that time, Every emotional issue is going to come up. And if you manage to make it through the pregnancy and nothing happened, guess what? When your hormones after that placenta comes out of you and you're dealing with the 6 weeks of emotions, it's like you on your period for 6 weeks. When you deal with that, you're dealing with the hormonal imbalance. I was listening to Shameless Maya is a YouTube influencer. She did a video where she talked about the part that nobody talks about after you give birth to the child. She said for her and her husband is so sweet and nice. And she said, I was fussing and yelling at this man. He didn't deserve all that yelling. You think that stuff ain't gonna come up? Honey, you're gonna be in a pressure cooker. That's why y'all ain't been together, because he needed to make sure that you knew how to handle your emotions, and he needed to make sure your husband knew how to handle his emotions. Or y'all was gonna be in there fighting like cats and dogs. You were gonna be yelling, cussing, and fussing at each other, and y'all been like, I don't want this relationship no more, because I know I waited all this time for this relationship. You know, there is an actual article where they talk about the fact of, I read it somewhere online where they were talking. It was actually, I was looking at a photograph, and it was a photograph, and they said the emotional difficulties that making it through the pregnancy for a couple has. You realize you could literally be in World War III on that. Do you realize that? Hello? This is why the Lord has kept y'all apart. Because that man needed to heal, and you needed to heal, so that when you went into that season, because you're going to go into a season of isolation with him anyway because of the pregnancy. And you got to come to the realization that you need to be mature adults. That while you're in the pregnancy, you can't be yelling at him, because he's not going to understand the things that you're going through. And it's funny, my dad was flipping through channels last night, and the woman was yelling at her husband because he ate something in the refrigerator that she wanted to eat. And he had made a comment, you know, they always make fun of these types of things with pregnancy, that he's like, I understand what she said, no, you don't. You do not understand what I'm going through. Some men are terrified of women when they are pregnant because of the way that they react. A pregnancy could completely take you out of your normal emotional state. Do you hear me? Do you understand me? So let you know something. If you ain't healed and this man ain't healed and know how to emotionally handle that, this man could walk out the door on you and start behaving in his old habits. And don't think Satan ain't gonna test those habits if you start acting up. Satan wants to bring a wedge between the two of you. So he needed to make sure that man was healed enough that in the case, just because you are emotional during your pregnancy, he ain't going to get up and act like a fool. You understand what I'm saying? Is it making sense to you? This is why this man could not come near you. Because you had to heal so he could recognize who you are. And also recognize the difference between you and your emotional mood swings when you're pregnant. Because there's going to be a season during pregnancy, you ain't even going to look pregnant. And you may not know that you're pregnant, and he may not either. And you may be going through a mood swing, and you don't know that it's a pregnancy mood swing. And he think that you just done lost your mind. Think about this. That's why he had to heal. This is why you had to heal. And Deani Nez was talking about this. Specifically, she was saying when you transition into your promised land, nobody talks about the fact that you got to go through that's going to be your deliverance season. I guarantee it. I would put a bet on it that while you are pregnant, God's going to be sifting you too. All the emotional things that you thought you could handle when you was in your isolated season. Because some of y'all had people around you, but the people around you, you didn't really care for them anyway. So half the stuff that they didn't bug you that much. But now you're going to have the one that you love sitting next to you. And that's going to bug you in a completely new way when you see them acting up. It's one thing if it's a family member. Oh, I know you. Cousin, uncle, brother. You ignore that. But when it's the one that you love and you done went into your prayer closet, prayed, and that's the one that's now acting up and they saying something out the left side of their mouth because you just prayed about a thing. But because you're the closest person to them, they act up on you. Because they still got a few wounds over here that's being delivered from out of them. And then you're dealing with it on the flip side because you're pregnant. It could be World War III if you're not paying attention. So he had to wait for both of you to heal up to a degree that when those moments come, because some of y'all think they ain't never gonna happen. You gonna have moments, but the maturity in you, and this is why God has tested you with people, is maturity is going to show you that if you can't or do not lash out on people when they reject, when they act up, when they start acting up on you, when they start talking about you, and you come to the realization, okay, that's the spirit of this. You gonna get in this marriage and that man gonna say something to you that's gonna hurt your feelings, and you are going to have a complete conniption fit because you think that it's them and it's a spot that's not healed. He got some residue. That's all that was. That was some residue and vice versa. And God knew that. That's why he needed to make sure that that man was healed. Because remember, if you've ever heard a person say, a blessing at the wrong time can feel like a curse. The reason he held y'all apart was because he needed you to completely heal enough so that you ain't in these relationships lashing out at each other like somebody stole something from y'all. Because he did not want you to become angry, bitter, and end up pretty much repeating what you went through in previous relationships. And then sitting in that stuff. No, he was going to heal that first. And give you the tools to communicate through that. Because the enemy, you think the enemy going to stop being the enemy? You think he's not going to try y'all? You think he ain't going to be waiting for a hole? Where's the hole at? Where's the hole at? Is she doing something? Is he doing something? Mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, socially, eyes, ears, nose, mouth, hands. Which one can I tempt? He had to process you, and you are going to go through the deliverance. God had to take that man through a wilderness where he dug up the roots, healed those roots, restored the roots. Then he brought that man to you. Think about it. God, come on now. He just brought to me the vision of Adam in the garden. Look at it. What was Adam doing? He was tilling the garden. What was the tilling of the garden? He was digging up the ground, digging up the roots, making sure the soil was right. Then he had to restore the roots when the rain came. Then he presented the woman, did he not? You come after that. And once you come in, you are giving them that water to those roots, to the new root system and framework God has given them in order for them to maintain it. But he had to heal you and he had to heal them. And yes, y'all gonna be tested in this next season. You think that the test gonna stop because you entered the promised land? Ha ha! Every time God needs to test you, he gonna test you. And you gonna find out that you in a test. And you gonna have to realize, okay, this is a test. You gonna have to calm your nerves down. There gonna be moments where things gonna come up, and you gonna have to know how to handle it between the two of each other. Because your husband's gonna test you in a way where it's like, it's not that he's gonna consciously be testing you, but it's an element that he needs to see that you're not gonna do the same thing that the last one did. And for some of you, I was literally writing a note for this. Some of you want this man to hug you and hold you when you're emotional and upset. Do you realize that the women that these individuals were with yelled at them when they were upset? And a pregnant woman is more prone to do that. And the first thing this man going to want to not do is hug you when you're like that. And the first thing that you're going to want him to do is hug you. Because technically that's what you wanted in the first place. So you're going to have to be vocally communicative. Remember, the previous relationship stole his voice. You got to help him communicate, because in the last relationship, that person yelled at him every time he wanted to speak his concern. You have to let him feel safe in speaking, safe in communicating his desires and his wants. You have to make him feel safe. So that once he knows that he can feel safe in that space, then he knows that he's past his triggers. He's past all of these points and he's healed now. He can communicate with you. It's safe. Know that it's safe. Okay? So, I believe all the old doors are closed. Everything's, you passed the temptations, all of these it's going to happen. And you're going to pass it. But y'all got to build a strong foundation together. But you've gone too far without them. You're going to have to come into this season where you're going to have to build and cultivate together. But there is going to be healing that still needs to take place, because there's certain things that you need to heal together. And in that healing, all it is the residue of either of y'all's wilderness, where he sees you, he's safe, and you see that this man is safe. You understand what I'm saying? Things will be brought up. You're going to deal with them. That's understood. So, let's see. I think I pretty much dealt with all of this. There are going to be moments. You're not going to yell. You're more likely to cry than yell at the individual, but they don't know that. And some of your men, they more likely to cry too. Shoot, some of the times if you see that man crying, you'll cry too. They need to know that they're safe. And you're going to come to the realization it's a safe space. You both are safe. It's okay. You're going to be all right. So, know that you have healed, but your next isolation will be the deliverance from your wilderness. You've been in an isolated wilderness state. He's been in isolated. It may not be as long as yours, but you're both going to go through a healing where you're going to understand and learn each other in this courtship before your physical wedding ceremony for the world to see. You know how they say in marriage the first year is the hardest? Well, guess what? You're going to go through that first year while preparing for your actual wedding. But you've already both been given the tools to go through that process. And you're going to be birthing things. And for some of y'all, you're going to be birthing children in that, because some of y'all going to elope. And between the time of your elopement and your actual physical wedding that the rest of your family sees, you may give birth to a child. It just may happen. But in that, a healing process is going to happen and take place. And you will both be birthed anew. Your children will just be a manifestation of what you've birthed. So I hope this blessed you. I didn't want to make this too long, but that was a revelation that the Lord gave me today. So I hope this blessed you. Until next time. Bye-bye.